Have you ever wondered how creating something with your own hands can transform your daily routine? Today, we're going to cover 5 reasons why knitting might just become your new favorite thing. Hey there, Mama. Welcome to the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you're a mom who's tired of feeling exhausted and longing for some well-deserved self-care and rest, you are in the right place. I know that finding time for yourself as a busy mom can feel like an impossible puzzle. But guess what? You don't have to compromise anymore. Hi, I'm your host, Nadine Medina, and just like you, I am a mom, wife, and also a happy knitter. Over my 15 years of motherhood, I have been on a journey to discover how to truly recharge without the guilt and the never-ending quest for perfection. The secret? It's all about progress, not perfection. By focusing on simple routines, natural wellness solutions, and the cozy art of knitting, I found the path to feeling whole and content. And on this podcast, I'm sharing it all with you so you can do the same. Are you ready to find simple solutions to set yourself free from mom guilt, to take more time for yourself to truly rest, and to use your knitting skills for a mindful routine that creates space in your life so you can breathe easier? Let's take a deep breath, grab those knitting needles, and say goodbye to mom stress. Together, we'll create a supportive community that encourages you to prioritize self-care while juggling all your responsibilities. Sound good? Let's do this. Hey mamas, and welcome back to another episode of the Knitting Mamas podcast. Today we're going to cover 5 reasons why knitting might just become your new favorite thing. And these might actually surprise you. So I want to put a disclaimer here for those of you who either are a seasoned knitter or a total newbie. You are still going to want to check these out because as a mom who needs to desperately get some time for herself and release some stress, this can actually be the thing for you. So if you are like me who didn't knit for 20 years prior to the pandemic and then picked it up and loved it again, or if you are somebody who is already regularly knitting but you have not quite found your rhythm yet, or you want to just do it a little more mindfully without the pressure of having to get something done or, making things for other people. And even if you are not a knitter yet, all of this is for you. In fact, I actually have a really awesome video series for those of you who are not a knitter yet and who are really wanting to get started but don't know exactly how to do it and where. I have a YouTube channel where I created a playlist with beginner videos that walk you step by step through each technique, each stitch, and the basics that you need to get started. It also comes with my favorite tools, so you can go and check that out. The link will be in the show notes. And before we jump into the 5 things or the 5 reasons why knitting might just be the thing that you are looking to add to your 2024, let's really quickly talk about our Facebook community called the Knitting Mamas. Surprise, where we chat about all the topics in more depth and as a community. So I actually have something really exciting coming up at the end of this month. On the 24th of January, we're going to have our very first Knit and Chill Circle, which is a live event within the Facebook community. It's going to be an interactive video where we're all going to be coming together like a Zoom chat. And I want you to think of it as your coffee date, but with knitting. So you may have done these in person before with other people in your community, but this is going to be a fully online one in our digital community. And don't worry if you don't know how to knit yet, or if you're just a super casual knitter who only picks up their needles every once and again, you are welcome to hang out with us and learn as you go. And I can't wait to see your faces there. You get into the Facebook community via the link in the show notes, and the link is also bit.ly/knittingmamas. So it's bit.ly/knittingmamas. All right, let's jump into today's episodes. So as you may have heard me talk about, I rediscovered knitting during the pandemic, and for me, it was the perfect time to actually rediscover it. And I did not realize how much I was missing it, which is so funny because when I actually first learned it from my grandma when I was 14, I loved it. And I had knitted for such a long time into my 20s. I never got past making like a scarf because for me, that was just the easiest thing to do. There's no decreasing, there's no increasing. You don't have to knit in the round. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. I did make a sweater when I was a kid. My grandma helped me. So I did knit on that for a little bit, but I only, as far as I remember, I only did the panels, which again, there's no decreasing and increasing on a very simple sweater. So I was able to do that, but I do remember being so proud of that. And that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting now, where I make something from scratch, from just a ball of yarn with 2 needles. And it's just such an awesome feeling to create this thing that you then even get to show off and wear. It's not just something that you have that you can look at, but you actually can wear it. And it's warm and it's stylish and you can pick your colors, you can customize it. It's like the best. So that is my story when it comes to knitting, and I am just so grateful. I don't know if without having to stay home during the pandemic, I would have actually even thought about picking that back up. But it was kind of this thing that people were doing, and I was like, wait a minute, I know how to do that. I used to love this. So let me see if I can still do it. Turns out it's like riding a bike. So that's not a problem. But again, if you are new to this and if you're like, okay, I really do want to learn it, check out those YouTube videos. They're really going to hold your hand. Now, let's get into the 5 reasons why I actually think you should totally do that. Number 1, sense of accomplishment. I kind of touched on that a little bit. When you create something with your own hands, it will give you this amazing sense of pride and accomplishment. And it also allows for creative expression, which some of you might be like, but I'm not even creative, so I don't need to express myself creatively. Trust me when I tell you, I thought the same thing. And this is from someone who used to be a photographer. So like, I never thought of myself as being creative. But once I started knitting, I was like, wow, I can make so many amazing things. Now, let me put another disclaimer here. I'm not a designer of knitting clothes. Maybe this is coming in the future, but at this point, I don't even want to think about that, to create actual pieces, like put them together, see how they would work. Because what that does is, it actually kind of stresses me out just thinking about it, because it would require for me to having to redo things and unravel them over and over and try to make them fit. I want a pattern. I want the instructions, and then I just want to do it and enjoy the process. But that is definitely my very first reason why knitting is such an amazing hobby, because it's so rewarding to see these tangible results from your actual efforts and from doing something that you enjoy, that decreases your stress, that increases your well-being, and it gives you this amazing thing that you can then put around your neck or on your head or wrap yourself in or just wear. And it's so funny because I'm actually sitting in my closet right now recording this episode, and I'm looking at my knitted sweaters and scarves and t-shirts and cardigans, and it's just, I just love them. Okay, number 2, challenge your brain with a new hobby. This is something that I never even really considered, the fact that this is actually training your brain and it's challenging your brain, because, it's just knitting. But even as someone who knows how to knit and who this comes mindlessly to at this point in my journey, this is still something that challenges my brain, especially when you have to look at a pattern and you have to kind of figure out, okay, how do I make this pattern work for me, for my size? You actually have to do math in knitting sometimes. It's not crazy math, but but it's part of it. And it's funny because my husband always says knitting is like coding. He's like, you're coding. It's amazing. Because of the rows and how they actually end up, working together in the end to create either like a whole panel of something, or even like a pattern or, an image or stripes or whatever. And he's always just so impressed by that. So I think even, if you have knitted for a while, learn a new technique, learn a new stitch, or maybe get a pattern of something that you haven't made before, which I also always find a little bit intimidating. But then I'm like, yes, but I want to try this. A little tip on the side here, without going too much off course, is when you do try to make something new that you haven't done before, I would try it maybe with a little more of an inexpensive yarn as opposed to, grabbing like a really high quality one, just in case it's not working out. Then you're not wasting like a really, super high quality and pricey ball of yarn. All right. The third reason why I think knitting should totally be something that you at least give a try is it reduces stress and increases well-being. This is actually proven, and it is so amazing because I never thought about knitting in this way until, this most recent times. It is something that can just chill you out. I just recently heard one of our community members say that knitting stresses her out. And I was like, no, it should definitely not do that. So if you're feeling any kind of pressure that you have to do it a certain way, that it has to look a certain way, or, that you're like, oh, I'm not doing it enough. Or I think that was the issue. It was like, I don't pick my needles up enough. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to be something that is fun for you, that you love, and that you want to come back to, because if it stresses you out, you're not going to do it. And then you're not going to get this awesome benefit from it. But it's such a rhythmic and repetitive activity that it can actually be almost meditative. Of course, it depends on the pattern, on the thing that you're making, which is why I recommend to any newbie to start with something that is simple, that you don't have to really worry about, that you don't have to count, and that you can just go and do without having to think about it too much, just so that it does not stress you out and it actually has this like unwinding, reducing stress, peaceful, effect on you. And it's funny because I just shared something on my Instagram yesterday that I'm making right now, and it's a garter stitch, which is like literally just the knit stitch pattern. It's a scarf, and there's just two little things at the beginning, at the end of the row that you have to worry about and remember. But other than that, it's just garter stitch, and it's like 100 stitches. So it's literally just like knit, 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 and I don't have to think about it at all. So I'm doing it while I am sitting next to my daughter and making sure that she's actually doing her schoolwork here at home. So it's actually perfect for that. And, that actually brings me to the next point, which is number 4, do this from anywhere. So I can take it to my kid's school. I can take it to, dance class. I can take it to, I don't know, wherever I have to wait for somebody. I can move it around my house. I can knit in my bed. I can knit on the couch. I used to be really into sewing and I really enjoyed it. But then after a couple of months, I was like, you know what? Every time I sew, I'm by myself because my sewing machine is so big. I can't only have it in a certain part of my house, and it's definitely not the living room where everyone else is hanging out. Sometimes I do move it to my dining room table, but it's still not where people are necessarily hanging out unless they're eating dinner. So I was like, you know what? This is not as fun as if I was able to do something while everyone else is around me. So I knit when, we watch TV. If it's a movie that I already know, it's even better. If it's a new one, I kind of figure out if I want to knit during that or not, or if I want to pay full attention to the movie. But it's definitely something that you can kind of do anywhere you go. And I think that is such an amazing thing because you can whip it out at any moment when you're like, you know what? I need to take a breath. I need to chill. I don't need whatever is stressing me out right now. Let's, sit down and do a couple of rows, take a couple of breaths. You can listen to some soothing music while you do it and feel better. It's so great. It's so amazing. Okay, and the 5th reason is community and connection with other moms. And this one is a big one for me, something that I didn't really consider until I actually started my own community. And I think it's so amazing that you can actually do this as a social activity. Again, the example of sewing, you could do that together too, but you would have to lug around your machine. And, there's all kinds of things involved. Not saying that it's impossible, but I feel like this is just so much easier. You can either join a local knitting group or you can engage in an online knitting community like ours. So obviously just mentioned that we do have one, the Facebook community. And if you do want to join ours, come to the first Knit and Chill Circle on January 24th. But this whole idea of doing a hobby or, doing something that can bring you together, that you can do on your own when you need it, but that you can also do with others, is just such a great chance for, especially for us moms, to connect with others who share similar interests. You can then chat, you can, have a coffee together, have a tea together, and then change out your patterns and, get more creative, get inspiration from them. And I think it's just such an amazing thing. So, Mama, I really, really hope that if you are not already somebody who is loving their knitting hobby, that you try this out, that, you just say, okay, you know what, I can get some yarn at my local hobby store. It doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg. You can get yourself some needles and just try it out. And if it's not for you, go and donate them. Somebody else is going to love them too. But I really, really hope that you are taking my word for it and you try it out. And here's something else that I want to say as I wrap up this episode. It is so much easier than you might think. Because a lot of people, I feel like, are intimidated. This is what I see on my Instagram all the time. People are like, oh, you make it look so easy and this is so beautiful, but I could never do that. Or I tried it before and it didn't work. No, you can do this. If I can knit, everyone can knit. Seriously. So to close this up and wrap up this episode, I would love to, number one, encourage you to join our Facebook group. If you, again, are kind of like, I don't know about the knitting part, come in there anyway. You can leave if it's not for you, but we also talk about morning routines. We talk about natural health and wellness, tools and tips and tricks, sleeping better, focus better, stress relief, all those things. So come and join and check it out. Participate in the Knit and Chill Circle on the 24th. Start your knitting journey if you haven't yet, and go to my YouTube channel and watch the playlist, or just kind of like start with the first one. It actually has one that has my favorite tools, and then it has all the stitches, the fundamentals, the casting on, the casting off. Like, it's everything that you need as a beginner. And please, I am here for you. I'm always here to answer any questions when it comes to knitting, when it comes to stress relief, when it comes to the things that I use to make my life simpler and easier and more relaxed. So please reach out to me. You can do that on Instagram. You can do it in the Facebook group. Check the show notes, because in there, I have all the links that you are going to need. And just really quickly, let me recap the 5 reasons why I think knitting should be one of your strategies for your stress relief and for calming down this year. Number 1, sense of accomplishment. Number 2, challenge your brain with a new hobby. Number 3, reduce stress and increase well-being. Number 4, take it anywhere you like and do it from there. And number 5, community and connection with other moms. All right, mamas, this is it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you or hear you in the next episode. Hey mama, I hope you've soaked up some great ideas from today's episode. Remember, a happy mom makes for a happy fam. If today's chat hit home with you, it would mean the world if you could leave a 5-star written review on iTunes. Your review will help other moms discover our community and embrace guilt-free self-care. Also, if you're scrolling through Instagram, why not snap a screenshot of this episode for your stories? Don't forget to tag me at The Knitting Mamas so that I can shout you out on my page as well. Plus, that way we can stay connected and spread the self-care magic. Oh, and have you heard about our cozy Facebook community? It's a guilt-free zone where we share relaxing routines, essential oils, and knitting adventures, and so much more. Come join us today at bit.ly/knittingmamas and let's unwind together. Until we chat again, take care, mama. And remember, looking after yourself is not selfish. It's essential for that balanced life. Catch you soon right here on the Knitting Mamas podcast.